Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys are watching rom-coms and Sex and the City and other things. I'm Cory Cavin.
I'm Kevin James Doyle.
Who?
James. I'm French now. I'm Kevin James Doyle. You know how many French people listen to our podcast? I don't think any.
That's not true.
Really?
Yeah, we've had French numbers for a while.
Yo.
I don't think we have a ton of French numbers.
Shout out. I had the best croissant I've ever had in my life today.
Where? Because you're a croissant in the mornings person.
I'm a bagels in the morning person, but sometimes a bagel's just too heavy.
Yeah, I had a bagel today because it's my dad's birthday and he loves New York City bagels.
Damn.
So I had a bagel in his birthday honor.
I had it up at Key Cafe. Is it QI? I forget. Key code. I don't know. It's on like 6th and 14th. It's a tiny little cafe, but they get Balthazar croissants.
Yeah.
And then
That's funny. That's right by La French Tart.
Those croissants aren't that good to me. These ones, the outside friggin' crispy as hell, inside moist as fuck.
The most vulgar croissant review ever. How you say, comment dit-on, croissant, je mange croissant crispy as hell, moist as fuck.
I thought when you stopped for a second, I thought you were like trying to translate French in your head and having trouble.
No.
You know what I thought? Now that we have this thing,
I'm constantly having trouble doing that because I don't speak French.
What if we do live? What if we just get a button and then we just press it and then we do it live?
What do you mean?
It's like we just press a button and then it says welcome to the Bradshaw, and then we don't have to do it later. Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys. We just press a button and then we just sit back and relax.
Wait, I'm confused as to what you're saying.
Our intro is just a button.
Oh, the intro. So it says that instead of me saying it.
And then we start the podcast just pressing a button, have a sip of water. We just fucking automated.
Yeah, we could.
Just automate the whole thing.
Wait, and so then it automates us doing the podcast too. Like we don't have to actually do it.
That's what we work on next.
Gotcha.
We sit here.
That's AI.
We sit here and then we're just like, we put in keywords. We're like high school, love, unrequited, all those things. And then we put in little personality profiles, you know, like John just be like loves, you know, I don't know, philosophy and has a wife.
Right. I mean, that's literally you're describing building an AI.
Yeah.
That's all we would do.
And
totally.
And we just start it and people are just like driving, being like, this makes more sense than when they actually talk.
Totally. It's like, oh, it's weirdly on topic for the first time ever.
Yeah. And then we shift the computer and we're just like more nonsensical tangents.
Yeah. And then and then it's like, oh wow, they're doing Cajun feminists, but it actually is saying feminist things that make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Cajun French people they speak French in Cajun land.
Mm-hmm. That sounded like an AI trying to learn right there. French people
they speak French in Cajun land.
Yeah, Creole. Yeah. Yeah. Big French influence. I'm reading a book right now about old Creole people in New Orleans.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
What movie are you watching?
I believe we are finishing 10 Things I Hate About You.
Then after this, why don't we choose? This is what we should do.
Tell me.
We should look at a few different cities. We should choose a rom-com based on the city.
Yeah. Sleepless in Seattle. That's based on a city.
There you go. Seattle.
Yeah.
I don't know. We gotta, because we're in Seattle right now.
Yeah. We could do, we're currently in Seattle. That's true. On this movie, we could do Sleepless in Seattle, Screwed in San Diego, Loving in Los Angeles.
What's a London rom-com? I don't feel like they're very
Love Actually
people. In it. Classic.
Is that all around England or is it just London?
Yeah, I think it's mostly London.
There's got to be another London, American Werewolf in London. That's a love story.
Yeah, and we already did Hungry with You've Got Mail.
Hungry?
Because that's where the story started. Shop around the corner. It's the Hungarian play.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. So we already did.
I forgot that it was based on a Hungarian play.
So we did Budapest. We covered New York and Budapest in one foul swoop.
And actually, if you really want to get technical, we also covered Holland.
With what?
Wait, Holland or not Holland? We covered the Netherlands, because New York is New Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So we cover the Netherlands.
Yeah. So it's like, geez, we're already running out of places on the globe to cover.
Is Sweet Home Alabama a rom-com?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Alabama.
Reese Witherspoon. Is that her?
Yeah, Reese Witherspoon. Yeah.
You know, she's worth like $900 million or something.
It's worth tons of money.
Yeah. Really. That's stupid.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I think just because she's incredibly successful. Well, she's a producer on Big Little Lies
and business and stuff. She does sells like creams and stuff.
That's the smartest thing, to sell creams.
What about 10 Things I Hate About You? Do people see that is one of those like rom-coms that's like Sweet Home Alabama and 10 Things I Hate About You, I feel like are like slightly less respected. Well, they're maybe a little more armpit.
John and I
Waka Waka.
John and I talked about this last time in the second episode of 10 Things I Hate About You. It's not, we were like, it's got the rom, it's got the com. It's not really a rom-com. It's more of a teen movie. And I feel like Sweet Home Alabama is a rom-com, but I think it does have less respect. I feel like this probably gets respect in a different way. It gets respect from the stars, but like it doesn't get respect in terms of the like it does feel a little more Waka Waka because it's a teen movie. But what not really like a rom-com. Like it's not you're not bringing the heavy hitters like Ryan and Hanks.
Yeah. It's definitely a different genre. But what if instead of focusing on genre, we organize it based on a different thing? Like we'll do 10 Things I Hate About You, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, 10 Commandments.
That's great.
Charlton Heston comes out with the pillars. You shall not pass. And when he comes out with the 10 Commandments. Tablets.
Yeah. And he has a big hat on and he's smoking a pipe and he's turning it into a ship. Smoking to a ship.
And he's like, number 4.
And there's all the hobbits with him.
Do not disrespect your parents.
Okay, so, there's a whole thing where they were trying to take the 10 Commandments off of the lawns of some state houses in the South.
That's what Sweet Home Alabama is about.
Absolutely. She goes home to protest. Yeah. But she falls in love with the preacher who's trying to get them to keep them.
Exactly.
Such a great movie about religion and love.
Yeah.
No, all those the statues of the 10 Commandments that are on State House lawns, that's all from when they promoted the movie The 10 Commandments.
Really?
Yep. It is because I watched a movie. Awesome. I think it was called Hail Satan. There's a documentary that came out.
I've seen Hail Satan.
So that's what they talk about it. I
turned it off after 45 minutes.
I was going to say, you clearly didn't watch the whole thing.
I was so tempted. I was like, I gotta join this. I started building a pentagram in my apartment.
Totally.
There's like this, I was like ready to sacrifice someone and I was like, I'm out of this.
Yeah. It's a good thing you turned it off.
But the whole thing was, it was about like modern Satanism was more about like free speech and like
it's like about
freedom from religion.
Yeah. It's basically that. Yeah. It's all about free speech. And then basically they just like incorporate it and they sell t-shirts and stuff too. Yeah. They sell like support your local Satanist t-shirts and stuff like that.
I do think it'd be cool to have cloven feet.
Totally.
Isn't it crazy that Mr. Tumnus is like basically looks like Satan, but he's a nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Do you think, I was about to ask a really stupid question, but I didn't know the answer. I was going to say, do you think Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a rom-com?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Explain how.
Because like Aslan is always like at a cafe just being like, will I ever find love? Will I ever find a...
Oh, wait, sorry. I am the personification of love.
Yeah. How about this, because there's a lot of girls in high school in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Why did a bunch of girls in your high school get into witchcraft? What is that? Why do girls always get into witchcraft?
There were some girls that became Wiccans.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, have you ever seen The Craft?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's something about being gothy. There's something about, I think that there's just something about, it gives you something to latch on to, and you get to be mysterious. But also, I mean, listen, there's no denying it, whether they say it there or not. Like, a lot of it's about eyeliner and wearing chokers and stuff like that. Like, you talk to a high school Satanist and they'll just be like, no, it's because of the power. And it's like, you get to dress up.
Yeah.
You know that, like, if you get into being a goth, like, you were aesthetic to begin with.
Even the
it gives you something to do.
Even the adult Satanist, it's more about the eyeliner.
Did I ever tell you about the Satanist that lived in the building of? That's true. It's always about the eyeliner. Did I ever tell you about the Satanist that lived below a girl that I dated?
No.
Peter Gilmore, the current head. He might have just stepped down recently, but they talk about him in that movie, I think. Peter Gilmore was the head of the Church of Satan in America, and he was the downstairs neighbor of a girl that I dated, and they lived in, guess what neighborhood?
Luciferville.
Hell's Kitchen. They lived in Hell's Kitchen, and one time she had to prepare something for like a party that some of her friends were having, and her oven was broken. Like, there's a problem with the gas in the building, and their oven worked. And I was like, you know why their oven works?
Yeah.
It's the fires of hell.
Yeah.
That's what keeps it going. But he was super nice.
Yeah.
Really, really nice guy. And a friend of mine stayed with her that summer. Like, friends subletted her apartment. He was a writer. And he was so fascinated by it. He was just like, I gotta interview this guy. I gotta talk to him. And you could tell that people always tried to hit up. Like, once they found out who Peter Gilmore was, he would be like, oh, it's nice to meet you. But one time I went to her apartment to visit my friend who was subletting, and the writer friend had a Post-it note up by all his stuff. And he was like trying to write articles and books. And the Post-it note just said, Peter Gilmore, 3R, Satanist. That was like as far as he got.
In the new season of And Just Like That, one of the first dates Carrie goes on. This is season 2. After like the teacher guy.
What's going to happen?
Season 1? Yeah. Uh-huh. She goes on a date with a Satanist.
Yeah.
She goes home with a guy in Hell's Kitchen and she's like, I couldn't help but wonder if I couldn't help but wonder when you've fallen in love with the father of lies, can you ever tell the truth? And it's like, it's a pretty cool, I don't know. It's like an edgy storyline.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. He sends her to hell. I'm trying to, yeah, it's great because can't think of anything.
Carrie dates a Satanist.
Carrie dates a Satanist.
I'd watch that. I mean, can't get any worse than who Miranda's dating. Jeesh.
Whew. Wow.
All right.
Well, let's get ready to see more of who Miranda's dating, because that's in the news right now.
I know.
More Che. And Samantha's going to be back, but only via text message.
That's like so funny.
Only via text.
Let's watch 10 Things.
10 things. This is the finale. Let's finish the game.
Yeah,
10 things I hate about you.
Let's watch these credits.
The last place we were, I think, is that they finished the party. Julia Stiles' character hates Heath Ledger because she told him she liked him and she was hammered, and then she tried to make out with him and he stiff-armed her because he was being a good guy.
Yeah.
He was just like, let's wait. And then that really embarrassed her. And then also Bianca got asked to the prom by cool guy Joey, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is really pining hard for her. So and also John and I were saying that we think Julia Stiles is going to find out that cool guy just paid Heath Ledger $300 to take Julia Stiles to the prom.
And she's going to be heartbroken.
She's going to be heartbroken. She's going to be so embarrassed. So we'll see.
Let's see what happens.
Meanwhile, Gabrielle Union is just hanging out.
Having perfect skin.
Having perfect skin, looking amazing. Yeah. So that's what she's still doing. All right. 10 things I hate about you.
Bye.
10 Things I Hate About You. Directed by Gil Younger. Cats Strafford, played by Julia Stiles, is beautiful, smart, and quite abrasive to most of her fellow teens, meaning that she doesn't attract many boys. Unfortunately for her younger sister Bianca, played by Larissa Oleynik, house rules say that she can't date until Kat has a boyfriend. So strings are pulled to set the dour damsel up for a romance. Soon Kat crosses paths with handsome new arrival Patrick Verona, played by Heath Ledger. Will Kat let her guard down enough to fall for this effortlessly charming Patrick? And now, back to the boys.
We're back.
Welcome. We finished another film.
Thank you.
And what a film it was.
I got to say, I was not incredibly stoked in the last act. And then by the end, I actually was really happy about it.
I want to come out with a hot take.
Come out with it.
I like that movie more than Clueless.
Too hot for me.
Ow.
I felt like that movie. I felt like for me, that movie went down and then went back up.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like Clueless was solid throughout. So explain what you're saying for you.
I think that Alicia Silverstone and Brittany Murphy, R.I.P., are like two of the most like dynamic characters and personalities in that.
Mm-hmm.
And the story is like even like the love story, it's a little lighter, and the culture is behind it is really strong.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, I think the characters are stronger, and I think that there's a little more depth to the performances and to the story as a whole. Not a ton, but I think it's like a little more like the dramatic moments or the character twists and turns kept me engaged. So it's like the difference between like, it's, I guess, two different meals, you know?
Well, I would agree with that in the sense that this is what I kept coming back to. It's written by William Shakespeare.
The other is Jane Austen.
The other one's Jane Austen.
Yeah. It
like,
is.
I think the twists and turns, there's so much going on where you're like, oh, it's because it's a Shakespeare, like, I guess, would this be a Shakespeare comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be, dude, they should do a high school romantic, a high school adaptation of King Lear. And it's just like a 16-year-old going insane and betraying his daughter.
But he has daughters.
Yeah.
Daughters, you're
like 2 years old, and he's just like, go to the forest. No, I think, first of all, just because it's a high school movie, there's like a lot of connections. Every high school movie is going to end at prom.
Yeah.
There's going to be like a parent that's just like, when I met your mother, it was right after these, So there's even in 8th grade, I was like, there's parts of this that remind me of the movie 8th Grade, the Bo Burnham.
Oh yeah.
Just the dad character being like, I'm not around. And then it's like, I really love you. Those are just well-worn American film tropes or whatever. But there was something about this that I was like, and I didn't pod about the middle part. I watched the middle part, but I didn't pod with you guys about the middle part. And there was something that I'm like, there was a dip, but that movie, Heath Ledger, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Alex Mack, Larissa Oleynik, I thought maybe the acting was a little more, it's not even the acting. The world they were in was a little more realistic, and the stakes of a high school relationship were easier to be like, damn, like I know in real life, they're all going to break up in 2 years when they go to college anyway.
Right.
But I was like, man, that would fucking suck. If you found out that like right after you worked through something, like this person was like, I think those moves were done very well and not played in a like Waka Shakespeare way.
Yeah.
In a way that you're like, damn, that would suck. So I don't know. I liked it far more than I thought I would. And I haven't seen it in 20 something fucking years.
The name of Waka Shakespeare
is
What is it?
Fozzie Shakespeare?
Fozzie Bard. The Fozzie Bard. He's the Bard, the Fozzie Bard.
The Fozzie Bard.
I can see that. I mean, I do think that Clueless is played. Clueless kind of exists in its own world that makes sense, but it's a little all ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like like it all works for its own world, but it's. I mean, the same as this is sort of the same, but Clueless does kind of work where it's like everything's a little heightened. Everything's very LA. Everything's a little bit of a satire, but it all really works within its own world. Like even at the end when their maid is like at the wedding going to catch the bouquet, and it's like, oh, this is all within the world and Clueless.
Yeah.
Whereas I do see what you're saying with this. Like there were a little more legitimate heartstrings. Like I think in Clueless, it's like her and Paul Rudd, and you're like, oh, they got together, but it doesn't really. There's actual things in this that would, like when Julia Stiles read the sonnet, the 10 Things I Hate About You sonnet at the end, you're like, oh, they really had a journey and care about each other now. In Clueless, I don't really care about the fact that I don't really care about her and Paul Rudd's relationship. Although I do care about Cher.
I care about Cher, and we are pro dating your cousin on this podcast.
Absolutely.
Huge. Go for it.
That's
his brother. That was her brother.
It was her. Yeah, it was her brother. It was her brother through marriage after divorce.
I know, but let's cut to the chase. That's her brother, and go for your brother.
It's not what we're saying.
Jamie? Kelly?
That's Kevin's.
What's up? I'm gonna send him this episode. They're gonna be like, ew, you're fucking weird. Stop. I don't want to listen to your podcast, or especially when you bring that up.
Oh,
no, let's go through the breakdown. Also, praise to the performances.
Oh. Yeah. Good performances.
I mean, we talked a little bit how sad it is that Heath Ledger's gone, and then that made me sad that Philip Seymour Hoffman's gone. That you're like, those are two people that it's like, you guys had 40 years of just being the greatest. Like, there's the chicken or the egg conversation that you're like, oh, do you watch that? And you're like, of course we're more conscious of it, but he still carries the weight of him being gone. You're like, damn, this person was talented. Cause I don't know. I was just impressed with like how good his performances were.
Yeah. Was Heath Ledger 40 when he died? I mean, I think he wasn't in
I just
late
meant
20s.
He had 40 years left.
Oh, I got what you're saying.
Yeah.
I got what you're saying. But I think he was probably in his 30s, mid 30s.
30.
Let's see.
3. I don't know. Whenever you say his age, it's going to make me feel unaccomplished. I promised myself I'd have an Academy Award.
Oh, wow. 28.
Fuck.
28 when he died.
What the hell?
God, that is crazy.
That is insane.
Wow.
What a talent. And also,
jeez,
whatever that, I mean, I know more people are dying of drugs now than like ever in our history, but
no one that talented. Come on. No one that talented.
I mean, just like it's like a bunch of duds. No. Corey, very dark joke.
Very dark joke. But is truth and comedy.
Yeah. But the whole alcohol with like muscle relaxer mixers, I feel like honestly
if you're gonna do alcohol with mixers, do it with seltzer. Don't do it with muscle relaxers.
Do a diet ginger ale. Jeez.
Get a Diet Coke. Get a Coke. Get a full sugar Coke. Don't do it with muscle relaxers. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
But no, is it me, or was there a big string that I think now is all of the pushback of opioids? But there was like 5 years where it's like tons of people are just fucking dying from pills and drugs, and people are still dying of.
Well, now it's like fentanyl,
but the whole, like, I even know certain people and families that died that way, and it was like, we don't know what it was, and it was like this weird mix of stuff, and that's how he died.
Yeah,
right.
Oh, yeah. He died of a mix of a few things like sleeping pills and something like that, I think.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't mean to make this the mega depressing part, but that's what I was thinking of a lot, because the better his acting was, the more it was like, damn, that is so sad.
Yeah.
How talented and how, 28 years old and that performance is different than Joker when you're like, man, he's really good. You're like, man, I don't know if you're a good guy in real life, but fuck, you seem just like a great dude. This is a great performance, and I'm connecting
totally
with you emotionally.
I mean, and even just this, like, I think when we did our first pod on it, you were like, I'm calling you out. You said you didn't like this movie. And like, I will say, I watched it a couple of years ago and I was like, it's not that good. And after, and the one thing that I thought when I watched it the second time, I guess this would have been the third time I watched it. When I watched it the second time, I was like, oh, Heath Ledger shines through as just incredibly natural. And he still does. I liked it way better this time, but you can just see how he is just like shines on screen. Really, a lot of people do. The acting is I don't know if I would say it's like good in the sense of like a Philip Seymour. It's not like it's not like acting, but there's a lot of presence from everybody. In like a comedic acted way. But he's just so good.
And it is like, even if it's not it's a high school romantic like blah blah movie, but there is like a little more weight behind the characters in the story. And I think we should watch one of the ones that like no one talks, but like I remember seeing She's All That the same time, or Can't Hardly Wait, like the same time that I saw these. And it'd be interesting to watch those, because on Letterboxd and just in general conversation, you don't see people talk about those movies.
Yeah.
And I wonder if when you watch them, you're like, you would see the difference between like a well executed and even emotionally present, or like slightly more weighty, which doesn't mean weighty, but slightly more weighty, to be like, oh yeah, this is still all the exact same tropes. You go to a party.
Yeah.
Like I remember in She's All That, Matthew Lillard comes out because he like gets on The Real World and he thinks he's like, right now there's like one song, I forget what the song is, but like he's just like, but it's like the college party, and then he like falls and hits his head or something. Someone does. And then there's like the dance at the end, and it's the girl that's Rachel Lee Cook, who's like super cute in it. And then she takes her glasses off.
Totally.
And then they made fun of that in Scary Movie. But you don't hear people talk about that movie of being like, watch She's All That, it's good. Yeah. Whereas this, and I just wonder if that's just the performances.
Do you remember the movie She's the Man? I think it was She's the Man.
Yeah. It's good. It's Shakespeare as well.
There you go. But isn't it she's cross-dressing the whole time and they think she's a dude?
Yeah.
And then there's a scene where they're like in the locker room and she like takes off her towel when she comes out as a woman.
Amanda Bynes.
Is it Amanda Bynes?
It's Amanda Bynes. And it's actually, I think that's supposed to hold up very well. It's Much Ado About Nothing. It's another one of Shakespeare's comedies, which he was just cranking.
Just
cranking those out.
Cranking out comedies.
Oh, look, this is a girl. In the original, it sounded like this. These got a big old hog. Milady, that there doesn't look like a cock.
That's a nana.
Dude, you know what's so funny in Shakespeare class? They would be like every acting teacher that we ever studied Shakespeare, like, there's like more here than you think. If you read it, it's like, and they will work so hard to be like, he'll have like an innuendo that's like, that actually is like a reference to sex. And so instead of it just being a reference to sex, there's just like, milady, I like, each time I see you, I could die inside. And they're like, dying is a
little death is an orgasm.
And so like all my like acting teachers, throughout all the years, they would say a line and just totally overact that. And they'd be like, "Milady, I'm hard," and they would just do like a really like take their sword and do like a really obvious like dick gesture or something that I'm just like, I feel like back then they probably didn't push the joke that hard.
Yeah.
Or they would be like, there are just so many times I've seen Shakespeare and they do like tons of like jerk off motions, or they get one little like sex thing and they overplay it so hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if back in Elizabethan times they were just like that. You're just like so eager to do something in a Shakespeare play that is look, even back then they fucked each other. It's like, we know they reference that because we're here and people have to have sex in order to exist. You know what I mean?
I took this one acting class where the teacher, really great teacher, but he talked about Shakespeare and he was talking about how to do it now. And then he was like, well, first of all, when I was doing Shakespeare 15, 20 years ago, he was like, and I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being serious. The delivery of a lot of these lines were like, "Oh, forsooth, my lady, I have come to thy temple." And he was like, "You think that I'm joking? That is literally how." And he's like, if you watch a lot of old performances from like, I guess now it'd be like 30 something years ago.
Yeah.
He's like, it's very, very, like it's played really, the term he was just like airy fairy, just very much like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
And he was like, it seems like a joke, but it's actually like played like that.
Yeah.
So it seems like, I guess it just changes throughout time. But at no point did he say people were just like making jerk off motions.
I mean, I will say I've had a lot of really good acting teachers, but I've also, whenever that happened, I was just like, we make modern dick jokes. I think that was like their own. I honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I think that was their way to just be like, no one thinks Shakespeare's cool. I got to figure out how to make these kids think Shakespeare's cool. And they're like, Shakespeare talks about dicks too. And also, by the way, and then we'll do the plot.
Yeah.
My buddy Harlan,
friend of the pod,
the
dancer.
Me and him are flying to London next week to see the greatest Shakespearean actor alive, who's Mark Rylance.
Wait. Who's Mark Rylance?
Did you see Don't Look Up?
No, the answer to who's Mark Rylance is the greatest Shakespearean actor alive. I did see Don't Look Up. Yeah, I know who Mark Rylance is. But yeah, you're going to see him. What are you going to see him in?
He's in this play called Jerusalem, but the first time I saw him was in Measure for Measure, and he played a woman. And then I saw him in something else, and both times he played a woman because he is in the Globe Shakespeare Company that does it the way they originally did.
Do they still do that?
Mm-hmm.
It's all all the men play women parts.
They do it like the same way they did originally.
Yeah. And
it was similar to what you're saying. So imagine it's like, but really good. So it was like, cause it's weird getting used to it. Cause I saw it at like and it's like, they do a higher pitched voice and stuff like that, but it's like, I don't know, it takes 5 minutes to adjust. And then you're just like,
then you're wrapped up into it.
You're like, damn.
Yeah.
So,
whereas I think a modern version of Shakespeare would be something like Macbeth that Scottish play. Oh gosh,
fuck,
something's gonna happen.
What's the equivalent for podcasts? Because we're not in the theater, so we're safe. But what
can't you say?
Yeah, what can't you say?
You always call it the Depressed Comedian Garage Podcast. You never call it WTF with Mark Maron. The Depressed Comedian.
All right.
Hey folks. Hey folks. Today we got Patton Oswalt. Let me talk about my guitar.
All right. Did some set.
Hey folks. I was in Almost Famous. Lock the gates.
Bum bum. All right. So let's
back on track. Plot. Here, let's tag team it. So when we came back in, Kat is really sad. She's pining at the guitar store. Patrick, Heath Ledger, is trying to talk to her. She won't give him the time of day. Finally, he walks up and he says, he's like, I'm sorry, have you seen The Feminine Mistake? Sorry, not a great Australian accent. And she finally is like,
and she says, "Nar." Nar. Ugh. Get the fuck out of this country. Nar. There's not an R. What What the hell is wrong with you? I'm just kidding. We have a sizable listenership in Australia, and
we actually do.
We want you to know we love you. No,
we love you, but you're an island of criminals and rapists. Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong.
Anyway.
We listen. Only you guys know this. We'll watch The Castle on the pod. Do you know what The Castle is?
No.
It's like the most popular comedy ever in Australian history,
really?
And it's where what's his name came from? Eric Bana is like a big comedy. Bana. So that's
we'll watch Romper Stomper. You know what Romper Stomper is?
Yeah.
That's Cole's first movie where he's
a neo-Nazi.
Neo-Nazi. Maybe it's the second movie.
Yeah, it's a rom-com.
It's a rom-com.
Yeah.
Romper Stomper. All right. So yeah, she's sad. Finally, her and Patrick Verona kind of they talk. They end up the kind of connecting there, and then they end up going and having she won't talk to him, so he comes back and does the classic scene of the movie.
I love you, baby,
and if it's quite all right,
I miss you, baby. I gonna
oh, pretty baby. So he does that, wins her heart back, and then he's gonna get detention. She goes to her class and distracts her teacher, who we were trying to figure out who that actor was, the teacher. His name is David Leisure.
Okay.
He looks kind of Steve Martin. I think he's a very relaxed actor. Very relaxed actor. So Leisure Suit Larry, Leisure Suit David. But she distracts that teacher. What's his name? Patrick Verona is running in the windows behind. And so the teacher won't see her. She distracts the teacher by flashing him. No repercussion. She just flashes her boobs and the teacher's like, okay. And then that's some leisure to me.
They get out of school, then they go paintballing.
Yep.
They're just covered in paint and then they do a little smooching. They go back to his house or her house and she is,
I don't think he has parents.
Yeah. He's a mysterious guy. And she even asked that. She's asking questions. She's like, is it true this? And he's he's like, I didn't sleep with the Spice Girl, I think, and I didn't do this. I did do this. So she's learning about this mysterious guy. And then their conversation is very flirty. They've had a wonderful time. And then it kind of goes wrong because she's just like, what do you want from me? Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Like, you're here for some reason. What do you want? And he's like, no. Whoa, I just like you.
Yeah. So she can sniff out the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's not copping to it yet.
Yeah. She just is put off. And I think it's kind of from her insecurity that she's like, I had so much fun with you. Because I don't even think she suspects what she actually should suspect.
Right.
Or what is actually true. I think she's just like, stop it. I'm a bitch. You know that who I am.
Right. Like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we're at prom?
Before we get to prom, the end of that scene, it's a very serious scene. She walks off and then you took a picture of this. The subtitles were ahead of the action.
She just like leaves and she's like, whatever, like leave me alone. And he's sitting, they just have this intense moment. And then he's sitting there like very, very like thoughtful, like what just happened? And then the subtitle comes up.
It just says, may I offer you a parsnip? and then it goes to the next scene and JGL is there teaching Bianca Alex French. And that was the subtitle for that.
So it just looks
may
like
I offer you a parsnip.
It looks like Heath Ledger had the thought. It's like a thought bubble, and which would mean he's not into her if all of a sudden she's like, do you even really care about me? And in his head, he's like, can I offer you a parsnip? And she's like, nah.
So then JGL is having some back and forth stuff with Bianca. She gets mad. She storms off. And then we get to the place where he wants to take her to prom. She tells her dad, hey, big sister's going to the prom. I'm going to go to the prom. And the dad's like, what? With who? JGL shows up at the house. And then Bianca's allowed to go to the prom. So she goes to the prom, and then Patrick Verona and
Cat
Williams. They meet at the prom. Both look stunning. Band plays. Save Ferris, the ska band. A lot of ska in this movie. And then he gets the band to sing to her. And then in the meantime, Cool Guy Joey has showed up at the house being like, I'm here to take Bianca to prom. And the dad's like, get out of here.
Yeah.
And then Cool Guy Joey basically
just goes to prom.
Just goes to prom by himself.
He's pissed.
Meanwhile, Gabrielle Union breaks the news to Bianca that the only reason Cool Guy Joey wanted to bring you here in the first place anyway is so he could nail you. And she gets really sad. And then by that time, Cool Guy Joey has broken the news to Kat that he paid Heath Ledger $300 to bring her to prom. She's like, I knew you would do this.
Kat overhears it. Fuck.
Yeah. So she storms off. And then Bianca walks out from the bathroom, finds Cool Guy Joey. Right before that, Cool Guy Joey punches JGL out.
Yeah.
And then Bianca comes out, punches Cool Guy Joey. Once for the sister.
Yep.
Once for JGL.
And then kicks him in the balls.
For her. Yep.
And then we're at the next day and there's almost the exact same scene from Clueless. The father of Kat of Cat Williams is just like, are you a pimp?
You got any weed?
Dude, Cat Williams' new special is so good.
Oh, I'm sure it's amazing. I watched the beginning of it.
But then Kat, she's just outside writing poetry or doing drawings, I think. Dad comes out and has this really tender, sweet moment where he's just like, I'm protective of my daughters because like I know I'm gonna lose them one day and they're not gonna be mine. And then we go to where are we at after that? Because how does she reconcile with Heath?
The way she reconciles with Heath is, and something that happened in our second episode of this, is that they got an assignment from the teacher, the cool teacher. They got an assignment to write a sonnet.
Yeah.
And then she was like, that's a great assignment. He was like, get out of my class.
Yeah.
So anyway, we come back to class. She's mad at Heath. And then she gets up and reads her sonnet, which is the title of basically she reads 10 Things I Hate About You.
Which that's what I wonder. We should see if we can find the original. Do you have your phone? Let's see if we can find the original. Cause she reads the poem, 10 Things I Hate About You. Right. That is like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, but I miss you. We'll read it. But she reads that and then they go back into their fucking awesome cars.
Dude, all the cars, there's like tons of like 70s classic cars in this movie.
Cars.
Yeah.
And they end up together.
Yeah, well, actually after that, she goes out to her car and she finds a Fender Strat that he's bought her. And he bought her the guitar she was pining over.
Yeah, at the guitar shop.
Yep.
And then she's just like, are you just going to like buy me a guitar every time you do something wrong?
And he's like, well, there's always a bass and drums.
Yeah. And then he's also like, you realize how I got this money.
Yeah, exactly. He does say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
and I spent it on you, babe.
Some chick. Do you want me to read the sonnet?
Yeah, read the sonnet. So Kat is in front of class. She's never vulnerable.
Right.
And then finally she's vulnerable and I think she's embarrassed. Like this movie's kind of like about this person who's a real person, but she doesn't open up to anybody. Then you see it through her father, her sister. She's a good person, but she hates everybody. And then, but it's not hate. She's just protective and she's very protective. But even when she opens up, it's one-on-one. So I feel like this is mega powerful because it's like, you did this in front of class and him. She didn't just say it to just him. So in a high school way, that's like,
that's true.
Sounds like I'm tearing up, but so here's the poem read by Cory.
So this is from bardfilm.blogspot.com. I'm serious.
Dork alert. As I say earlier, I'm flying to London to see a Shakespeare play.
Okay. This is Sonnet 141 derivative version. I hate the way you talk to me and the way you cut your hair. I hate the way you drive my car. I hate it when you stare. I hate your big dumb combat boots and the way you read my mind. I hate it so much it makes me sick. It even makes me rhyme. I hate the way you're always right. I hate it when you lie. I hate it when you make me laugh. Even worse when you make me cry. I hate it when you're not around. The fact that you didn't call. But mostly, I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
What? So I got locked up, and then I shot everybody up, and I said, "Fuck that bitch! You're back on hot. Oh, fuck your bitch!"
Did you ever listen to Black Sheep?
No.
The first Black Sheep album. There is this great song, and it's the lyrics are, woke up, didn't choke up, I saw my AK, it was broke up, put it together like a jigsaw. And then the rest of the song is just about him shooting up like anyone he sees. And then at the end of it, you just hear, hey, wake up. And he goes, I'm like, what's wrong, man? He goes, I dreamed that I was hard. That's the whole thing.
That's really funny.
It's about dreaming that you're a violent rapper. Wait, no, the other thing on that though was the original sonnet that it's based on.
Should I read it?
Yeah, is that 141?
Sonnet. In faith, I do not love thee with mine eyes. This is by William Shakespeare. This is the original. Ready?
Yep.
Oh boy, I'm nervous. In faith, I do not love thee with thine eyes, for they in thee 1,000 errors note. But 'tis my heart that loves what they despise, who in despite of view is pleased to dote. Nor are mine ears with thy tongue's tune delighted, nor tender feeling to base touches prone, nor taste, nor smell, desire to be invited to any sensual feast with thee alone. But my 5 wits, nor my 5 senses can dissuade one foolish heart from serving thee, who leaves unswayed the likeness of a man, thy proud heart's slave and vessel wretch to be. Only my plague thus far I count my gain. Only my plague thus far I count my gain, that she that makes me sin awards me pain. That she that makes me sin awards me pain.
Wait, what's the line before that?
Only my plague thus far I count my gain. Wait, thy proud heart's slave and vessel wretch to be. Only my plague thus far I count my gain, that she makes me sin awards me pain.
So that's just talking about pining for someone.
Yeah,
right?
it's saying all the things I hate about you, and I think, I mean, it's a little sadder. You know, a lot of people think Shakespeare was gay and was writing all this stuff about
dudes.
It's
possible.
So it's like, he's probably just like, dude, I can't be gay. They hate me.
Yeah. You think that's an interpretation that he is.
I have no idea if it's that specific one, but there are lots and lots of them that are like when they're very intensely like sad and you can't be with a person. It's like, it's because of like the views of homosexuality at the time.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, that's what's kind of interesting, I guess, to adapt. Anytime I see Shakespeare on stage, you start getting the hang of it and then you get into it. But it's like, I thought they did a really good job just having some times where you're like, okay, I know what that line means. Like they'd have Shakespearean lines in this and it was totally cool. But you read that and you're just like, damn, that shit's heavy.
It's crazy. Like, I mean, I guess if you were in the time period and so you're more in the language of it, some of it would make more sense, but the way it's written, the pentameter and stuff, it's crazy. And it's also just so full of emotion.
Yeah. So full of emotion. And back then, if you got syphilis, you're fucking dead.
So full of disease.
Totally. Toulouse-Lautrec.
Oof.
Different era, different country. To us, same thing. Just old. Another time.
All falls into things that are just a reference for me.
Yeah.
I don't really understand any of it. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that name before. What was he? He was
the painter who was at the Moulin Rouge.
Oh, I thought he was in Arcade Fire. Never mind. My bad. I thought he played keys for them on Reflector. It all runs together at some point, you know. Oh yeah, he's friends with Regine.
Oh my gosh,
she's the one that's from French Canadian, whatever. Yeah, sure.
Toulouse-Lautrec. I don't know. We're not going to end on a better poem than that.
I know. It's definitely. I'll say this. That's how I feel like it really not redeems itself, because it didn't need to redeem itself, but that the emotionality. I guess if we're comparing it to Clueless kind of ends on a like funny Valley Girl satire-y, like, and you know what? I'm going to go to college. And like, and it's like that, it wraps up that whole world in a fun way. This actually has like a real strong emotional core at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it does. And it holds up. It's a good movie.
Yeah. And you get that crazy helicopter shot at the end where you just see how massive their school is. It looks like modern Hogwarts. It's crazy.
Yeah. I feel like that was like their dream to have that shot, and then making it happen is insane. Watch this movie, watch it to the end, and just observe the credits. Think about the logistics behind it, because it's like, whoa, that's cool. And then you think about it, you're like, how'd they even fucking get there? This is dangerous.
You're starting from the parking lot of them kissing. You go up, you see the whole school, and then you see the band playing on the top of the school on a stage that was clearly built just for that shot.
Yeah.
And the band is just playing, and they go very close to them. It's very dangerous.
There's no reason to do this. This is for no one, but it'd be really funny to take that shot at the end and then just edit in just, can you take me higher to a place where blind men share?
There's
can you take me higher?
Where is it?
To a place with gold.
I bought that for like a joke video that I made, and
let's go there. Let's make our escape. Dude, this song fucking. I'm back on Creed. I was off for 20 years. I'm back. You just hear that video?
Hey, 90s are back. Ready?
Go. Do it.
I had a bunch of guys I lived with in a suite.
Yeah.
Who in college who were very into Creed, like when Creed was popular.
Yeah.
And I remember one of them talking about, he was like, dude, he rode crew. And he was like, dude, we would get together with the crew team. He's like, before every meet, we all just put our arms around each other and we start swaying. And we just go, and then someone plays fucking Creed, and then we just go, just imagine just being with your boys.
Just listen, we watched a high school movie. Just imagine being on crew. Dude, just you have your Walkman on, listen to this.
If you're rowing crew, you're in amazing shape.
Yeah. All right, just put it up. Go. Longing to escape. Listen, listeners, let's go there together. What's the next movie? What do you want? Send it to us. How can we do better? This is our question to you. This podcast. To a place where listeners I attend. Can you take me higher? To a place where this podcast is #1 on iTunes.
Please take us there.
How'd we get here? We don't know, but thanks for coming.
Thank you, Scott Stapp. Thanks for being a patron, Scott Stapp.
Thanks for being a patron.
Thanks for being a patron, Scott Stapp.
Go watch this movie and just imagine that when you're watching the credits. Thank you.
Thank you, patrons. Thanks, listeners. Later, taters.
The Bradshaw Boys stars Cory Cavin, Kevin James Doyle, and Jon Sieber. The show is produced by me, Jeremy Balon, and narrated by Katie Sieber. This podcast is part of the Seltzer Kings Network. Check out all their great podcasts at seltzerkings.com. You can find the boys on their socials at The Bradshaw Boys or on their website at thebradshawboys.com. And as always, if you see them in the street, tip your glass. Thanks for listening.